Hey guys, I'm Heintje, and in this video I'll be visiting a place I haven't been before. This spot suffers from the issue that there are places closer by that offer riding equally as good. However, I'm sure for many of you this might be the opposite, depending on where you live. So it's time to check out Bad Iburg, of course, after the intro. Let me start the video with the second run of the day. The first run was the same trail as the last run, and the riding the second time around was a whole lot better, so I'll skip the warm-up run. Now this trail was probably the worst one of the day, make of that what you will. It's pretty worn down, a deep rut has formed, and with all the rain lately it's only gotten worse. For those of you who watched my last video, at least this time the ruts aren't covered with leaves. This means that now I can see where I want to ride, making it doable. However, it's still a challenge. Once your weight goes too far away from the rut, you simply cannot correct it and have to put a foot down. Ruts like this are also a channel for water, making them very muddy and slippery, all combined resulting in me having to go slower than I wanted. Thankfully the last section made up for it, a fast and rooty section, and despite the slightly wet conditions, the grip was perfect. To end the trail in the silliest way possible, here went for the high line to wait for my friends. Only this put me in an awkward position to continue the trail. Hoe ga ik dit doen? Zo dus. How did I think this was gonna work out? Did I really think I could ride away from this position?
Yeah.
Well, that's my second crash in as many videos this year. Great start. Now let's go back to the top for the next trail. I would say this one summarized the area the best. Most of it is pretty mellow, high-speed rooty trails with an occasional steep section. Depending on the conditions, I would really recommend this place for the less experienced riders. If you control your speed, everything is manageable, and while the steeper parts may provide a challenge, they're pretty short and often with a good run out. Halfway down this trail you get a split. The left option continues in the same manner, as where the right option brings you to a couple of steep rollers. Since it was my first time riding this trail, I rode it kinda careful. I can only imagine how much fun this one can be when going a bit faster, or being really scary when going a tiny bit too fast, but that's something for another time. For now, let's look at the finale of the trail. Again a steep section, only this time a bit longer. In the right conditions you can nicely flow into this feature, but since it was slightly wet now, I opted for the straight approach, more or less nullifying the risk of sliding out. Our next trail was a short one, but an amazing one. Or at least that's how it felt. Now looking back at the footage, I have to say it looks kinda boring. I guess the lack of light made the GoPro effect even worse. To be honest, riding this one was perfectly fine, at least light-wise. My line choices left some room for improvements, partly because I was riding the trail for the first time, always riding a bit careful. One thing I've been doing a lot better lately is taking more high lines. In most cases this gives you a better line into the next section, however they require more commitment and have a bigger chance of sliding out. Here we already spotted a nice high line even before we dropped in, only this one just didn't work. Ending up on the low line, not a big deal, just losing a lot of speed. This resulted in me not trusting the high lines further down the line. Again, a trail that's great to give it a couple of runs. Once you know what to expect, and more important, what lines work and what lines don't, I can only assume this trail is so much fun. Now one climb later and the darkness was about to set in for the night, so all that's left for us was one more trail back to the car. Let me explain that one. Normally a day like this looks as follows. Get up early, go to whatever trail center we decided on for that day and start riding. Usually around 10 o'clock, so we have the whole day. This time however we had a bit more relaxed morning, which was nice. Only by the time we got on our bikes, it was already 2:30 in the afternoon, and with it still being winter, it got dark quite early. This led to some pretty amazing views and some pretty amazing riding. Somehow, when there's a need to go fast, or at least not to waste too much time, this leads to my best riding. Combine this with another great trail, again mostly mellow with loads of roots, just fun. Ideal to let go of the brakes a bit more. I'm almost at the end of the video, but let me first tell you that I was very positively surprised by the trails around Bad Iburg. Despite the very wet conditions, I mean, some parts of the climbing was like riding up a river, most of the trails were perfectly rideable.
Fuck, sorry.
Like I said, a great place for beginners to get into enduro riding, but also the more experienced rider can have a lot of fun here, especially when you do multiple runs of the same trail. With that conclusion, I've come to the end of the video, so as always, thank you very much for watching, I hope to see you back for my next video, and of course, have fun riding in the meantime. Houdoe!